Now on News 12 New Jersey, the next in our Power and Politics series, Conversations with the Candidates. In the 2nd District, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew faces Democratic challenger Amy Kennedy. This is New Jersey Power and Politics. Hello and welcome to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Alex Sedan. The 2nd Congressional District spans the southernmost quarter of New Jersey, the largest congressional district by area. It stretches from Southern Ocean County to Atlantic City to Cape May, and the width of the state from the Delaware Bay to the Atlantic Ocean. Representing the district is Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who was elected as a Democrat in 2018, but switched parties to be a Republican in December of 2019. And as a Democrat, Congressman Van Drew has served at literally every level of government, from council to the state Senate. Congressman, welcome to the conversation.
It's great to be with you here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Congressman. So why should the voters of your district re-elect you as a Republican?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think, is always asked in every debate or discussion or whatever happens, what is the number one reason? What's the number one factor? And I think it always has to be to stand up, to advocate, to fight for your people, to make sure that you're really doing what's right for your district and that you're not being lazy. So, in our district, when people call on the phone, we answer the phones. We make sure to try to help them with their problems. Just this year alone, the amount of unemployment insurance that we help people with, there were thousands of cases of people that had never collected unemployment, didn't know how to do it, didn't get help, and quite frankly, weren't getting help. And that wasn't even a federal issue. It was basically a state issue, but we got involved and we wanted to help and we wanted to make it better.
And Congressman, your constituent services that you've offered since your days in the state Senate, it's legendary. But don't you feel that the number one issue in this race is actually you and your party switch?
No, I don't think the number one issue is me and the party switch. I think the party switch certainly is important, and I'm willing to talk about that. In fact, we can get right into that. But it's about the individual human being, the person, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, what kind of a job are they going to do? That's what's most important. Now, I did switch parties, and I did it for a reason. I did it because I believe in America and I love America, and the Democratic Party was lurching and is lurching to the left and doesn't represent the values of a middle of the road blue dog like me, who was always, again, looking to do what was best in the middle of the road. So I found, and in fact, I said during the convention, the Republican convention, be loyal. I said this to the voters. Be loyal to your heart. Be loyal to who you are. Don't be loyal to a party that was and is no more.
I have to ask you, though, that something that you said during your meeting with the president in the Oval Office last December. You said that he, not an idea, he, the president, had your undying support. And I wanted to ask, is there literally anything President Trump can do to lose your support? Could the president literally shoot you on Fifth Avenue and you would still support him undyingly?
No, of course not. And I hope you know that. And the president wouldn't shoot me on Fifth Avenue because we get along. But to be honest with you, what I was trying to say and did say was that he has my support to try to, as he always says, make America great again, to ensure that we believe in our flag, to ensure that we are going to take care of our military, to ensure that we are going to be able to have our own manufacturing and that we are not going to rely on other countries. One of the most awful things was after we've gone through all the COVID, and it did come from China, we had to go back to China and we had to actually get the PPE, the relief that we needed from them because we couldn't produce it. We're going to do our own supply chain. We need to produce our own supply chain, and we need to take care of Americans, and we need to be strong, whether it's being strong by being strong in education, strong in our environment, strong in ensuring that we are going to have a strong supply chain, strong with our military, strong in supporting our police and our fire and those that are willing to throw their lives right up against anything to protect us. That's what I mean. So I have undying support for those things. If I think the president is wrong on something, he knows, and I know, I'm going to tell him, as he will to me.
Right. And I think it's interesting that I mean, you're on the record. You voted for this Postal Service bill, and you said that we must ensure that they, the post office, have the resources to deliver during these times to help all Americans receive your mail. So why is support for the post office important to you, despite what the White House might be threatening with a veto?
Well, it's important to me, and I think the president is also looking at this as far as the post office. What he wants is, basically, yes, he'll do a post office bill, but he wants to get some other things done too. This entire process of trying to help people now with a second round of support, is really been just stalemated, and we haven't gotten the job done. People need help still because of COVID. We need to get it done. So I think it's important because people obviously get their pills very often through the mail. People get other packages and things they order. It's important for business, many business people. And I did a post office tour in my district. I went to every single county. I didn't get to every post office, but I went to every single county and went around and talked to the postmasters and so forth, and met with business people who would actually bring, what they were sending out due to their business work through the post office. So it is important. I believe in it. I've always believed in the post office, and I kind of sense that I always will. That doesn't mean that we can't do better. In certain ways, we always can, but the post office does a heck of a job. I support them, and there's an example when I strike out for what I believe is right.
Now, do you share any concerns of your Republican colleagues, both in the Capitol and in Trenton, that vote by mail could lead to fraud, or are you confident that your former colleagues in the legislature who okayed Governor Murphy's mostly vote by mail election are doing the right thing?
We're not doing the right thing. We're not doing the right thing in vote by mail, and it's got nothing to do with Republican and Democrat. And I want everybody to listen to this because this is important. In the primary, I spoke to a lot of people about this. Average citizens who received 2 ballots, average citizens who didn't receive any ballot in the mail, average citizens who received a ballot for somebody who moved away, average citizens and postmasters who received ballots for people that passed away. We haven't scrubbed and cleaned our polls. We haven't done it. I mean, we literally have the same people on there for years. And what has to happen is those records have to be scrubbed, cleaned, and make sure that people who don't exist are not on there. That's the first issue. The second issue is it was so easy to do this the right way and be medically correct. So what we could have done is voted 2 days by machine. Monday, half the alphabet votes. We make sure to keep distancing. We even can have those little footprints they put on the ground, and half the alphabet votes the first day. The second day, the other half of the alphabet votes. And on Tuesday, we know what the final results are. I don't know what's going to happen now. You know what I do know is going to happen? I know that there are going to be ballots that are sent out that are not appropriate and don't represent people that live in a certain place or don't represent people that literally are living at all anymore. That's wrong. I don't know why we did that, and it's going to create chaos.
And you mentioned something that was medically sound. People may not know this, but you're a dentist. You spend a long time working as a dentist. I wanted to ask you then, do you wear a mask in public due to COVID-19?
Yes, I do wear a mask. And whenever I'm in the situation, as the CDC recommends, where we're close, I wear a mask. If I'm outside and I'm in the open air and have plenty of room around me, then I don't wear a mask. I do as the CDC recommends. And we'll probably learn more and find out more about this. Probably easier for me to wear a mask too, because, I wore a mask through my career pretty much. So it's decades of wearing a mask while I'm doing dentistry on people. But yeah, I do.
All right, Congressman Jeff Van Drew, thanks very much for your time and thanks for your insight.
It was great to be with you. I enjoyed it.
All right, as for the rest of you, stay with us. There's a lot more coming up today. This is New Jersey Power and Politics.
for the local news that matters to you.
Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Alex Sedan. We are continuing our conversation with candidates for the 2nd Congressional District, the largest district in New Jersey. It's the 2nd Congressional District. It includes all of Atlantic, Salem, Cumberland, and Cape May counties, along with much of Austin and Gloucester, along with 2 towns in Burlington County and Waterford Township in Camden County. Running for the seat as a Democrat is Amy Kennedy. She's a former teacher who spent more than a decade working in public schools. She serves on the board of Mental Health America and Effective School Solutions and is the education director of the Kennedy Forum. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be with you today, Alex.
All right, so why should voters elect you to Congress in the 2nd Congressional District?
You know, I've lived in the district my whole life, and my family's lived here for 4 generations. We've watched as this area has struggled to get the representation it needs, get the federal dollars and support that it needs to really be successful and thrive. And I'm looking to be able to stand up for this area instead of having a representative who's really just looking out for themselves.
And I wanted to ask you about that. Are you running for Congress against Jeff Van Drew, or are you running for Congress as Amy Kennedy? Which one is it?
You know, I've been frustrated for a long time because I've seen the potential in this area and also so many people who have moved away because of the lack of opportunity that they saw here, the cost of living. And I know that we deserve more. So I would say it's really a combination of both. It's believing in South Jersey and also believing that we deserve a better representative.
Now, the district that you're running to represent, President Trump won that district by almost 5 points in 2016. So what would your message be to Trump supporters? Do you want to bring them over to your side?
Oh, I would love to. I think it's really going to be about whether they feel that they're in a better place than they were 4 years ago, but also being able to express my interest in specifically what South Jersey needs. So while they may still support Donald Trump, they may see that I can provide and deliver on more for our area when it comes to infrastructure, healthcare, and jobs, and making it a place that is more diverse than just casinos and building on the tourism industry that we already have.
Well, of course, President Trump's not that popular in the Democratic Party, so I want to ask you a very straight-up question. Do you believe that President Trump is a racist?
You know, I feel like right now we are at such a point of division in this country, and he has not been successful in lifting up voices of people who have been marginalized. I feel like he's really created an environment where that kind of rhetoric is more common than ever before. So whether that's his intention or not, I think that's just the situation that we're in.
All right, well, the president went to the National Archives on Constitution Day this week, which is September 17th, to make an announcement about school curricula. So obviously, as a former teacher, I wanted to ask you about what he said. And I believe that we have that sound right now that we can play.
We must clear away the twisted web of lies in our schools and classrooms and teach our children the magnificent truth about our country. We want our sons and daughters to know that they are the citizens of the most exceptional nation in the history of the world.
So what's your take on what the president is saying there? Do you believe that the president, the Department of Education, should be telling schools to only teach the positive things about American history? What's your take on that?
You know, as a history classroom teacher, I think it's really important that we're teaching kids to look at primary sources from the time period, and that's how we study history most effectively. So it's not in the bias of whoever the textbook creator is, but it's really from the voices of the people that lived at that time, and we're able to analyze those texts. And that is shown to be a really effective way of studying history and giving kids the best sense of what was happening and what the sides were at that time. But I couldn't agree more that history is very important and that we should be emphasizing it in our schools.
I wanted to ask you about a similar theme that came up in the street, this idea of cancel culture. What's your opinion on cancel culture, and do you feel that it's a weapon that liberals and Democrats deploy too often to try and silence their critics?
It's really, I think it's frustrating and I'm seeing it. I think it's on both sides, but I do think it's difficult in our, you know, era right now that's so social media driven to have every idea shot down before we've really had an opportunity to bring everyone to the table and to discuss it and see those perspectives. I think they're valuable and we need to get those voices heard.
All right, well, bringing it back to the 2nd Congressional District, you made an announcement with Governor Murphy on Thursday about an infrastructure project for South Jersey. What specifically do you think is needed in South Jersey, in addition to infrastructure, to really get the economy moving and get people back to work?
Yeah, well, just to start with infrastructure, because I think it is so broad, right? We did a policy rollout that was in front of a bridge that was in such disrepair, leading into Wildwood, becomes a chokehold for all of the a bottleneck going into Wildwood. But we know it's not just bridges. It's not just our roads, it's the schools, it's our broadband that's so vital right now when people are learning remotely. And all of that is considered infrastructure and can create really good paying jobs and also attract new businesses to our area. So I think that this will be an important part of that building back better that we're hearing a lot about right now, and that we in South Jersey need that to help all of the other diversification of our economy. But we also know that our economy struggles when people are laying out a lot in their living expenses, things like childcare. So being able to focus on all of the areas where we're spending money, healthcare, childcare, education, and being able to help with those areas and support our small businesses as we move forward. So many families are struggling right now, and it's going to take an investment of federal dollars into our state and local budgets.
Now, you can't really talk about South Jersey, south of 195, without talking about George Norcross, especially on the Democratic side. You were the challenger in the primary. George Norcross backed your opponent. Is he going to be backing you, and is his political machine going to be backing you in the general election? Do you want their help?
I don't really know how far in they'll get involved in this race at this point. This is really, about me as a candidate now. And I think all of the conversations from the primary we're able to put to the side and hopefully unify as a party, but also bring on support from independent voters. And that's what we need to win this election. So that's where I'm focused, and we're working really hard to galvanize that kind of support.
What kind of emphasis is your campaign putting on vote by mail? Because New Jersey's elections mostly vote by mail.
Yeah, definitely. We want people to understand the process and to make sure that they feel comfortable with their plan for voting and know where the secure drop boxes are, know what to do if their ballot doesn't arrive on time, how to track their ballot online, and how to register if they haven't done so already.
And do you have any concern with vote by mail irregularities, or are you confident that the process is secure?
I'm feeling really confident because we saw in the primary a 50% higher than ever in the history of this district turnout. And what that says to me is that it made it more accessible and people were really motivated to vote, and that they're able to do so in a way that they feel they can participate safely.
Safely, that's the word. Amy Kennedy, Democratic challenger in the 2nd Congressional District. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And as for you, stay with us. There's much more to come on New Jersey Power and Politics.
Download the News 12 app on Apple TV, Roku, and
Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Alex Sedan. Governor Murphy finally got his millionaire's tax this week after 3 years of trying. The governor and top legislative Democrats announcing a deal in Trenton on Thursday morning. The state income tax rate on those making between $1 million and $5 million a year will go up by almost 2% under the deal. Most of the money going towards a tax rebate of up to $500 for New Jersey families. Republicans called the deal a kick in the gut and a gimmick. The governor saying the increase makes the tax code fairer.
We do not hold any grudge at all against those who have been successful in life. But in this unprecedented time when so many middle-class families and others have sacrificed so much, now is the time to ensure that the wealthiest among us are also called to sacrifice.
It is this broad-based, radical, extremist, left-wing approach to government that basically spends and taxes and they don't really think of the consequences.
Much of the resistance to the millionaire's tax had come from the Democratic side, Senate President Steve Sweeney especially. Sweeney said on Thursday he changed his mind because of the pandemic, and an idea from Speaker Craig Coughlin. Well, that just about wraps it up. We'd like to hear what you thought about anything we discussed in today's show. Email us or comment on our Facebook page. Let us know what you want us to ask the next batch of candidates in 2 weeks. It'll be the 3rd congressional district where Democratic Congressman Andy Kim takes on Republican challenger David Ridley. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Sedan. Take care.
News 12 Time and Temperature brought to you by Columbia Bank. Visit your local branch or columbiabankonline.com.